Hello everybody, I'm back from my hiatus to bring you a solar build that will give you a glimpse of the prismatic features of Final Shape, using Prometheus Lens to scorch and ignite enemies and use our crafted weapon to spawn hatchlings and cause unraveling, a strand solar fusion build. The goal of this build is to be able to damage all champions and use our seasonal mods to our advantage for insane ad clear, providing scorching stacks with our knife trick and using Gambler's Dodge to refund them to continue stack charges and cause ignitions. Ignitions will stop our unstoppable champions, our rockets will stop overloads, and our strand-crafted pulse rifle will provide us with unraveling rounds for barrier champions. We will also be able to get radiance by using a Prometheus Lens, in which we can break barriers while radiant and cause ignitions for unstoppables. With Shards of Galanor as our exotic and using Knife Trick, we can use it to clear ads and loop Knife Tricks to reduce our super cooldown, causing us to gain our super really fast. This build excels in Onslaught, Legend Lost Sectors, Nightfalls, and most PvE scenarios. If you're looking for other hunter builds, check my channel, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing for more. I'll link the build for Destiny Item Manager down below, and while you're there, comment on what you would like to see next and what type of videos you want to see. More builds, weapon reviews, the new content from Into the Light and soon to be Final Shape, and tell me recommendations on how to make this build better. Thank you guys so much for getting us to 579 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. But with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. This build will use the Solar subclass with Blade Barrage as our super, with the following aspects. Knock 'em down. This will launch more knives in your super, and while you're radiant, launching your knife attack will automatically recharge it back. I will show you the loop on how to constantly be radiant and have your knife attack always. Next aspect, on your mark. Precision final blows will grant you and nearby allies better handling and reload speed that can be stacked 3 times, and activating your dodge will immediately grant full stacks. For our dodge, equip Gambler's Dodge. You want your melee charge back. This will start your knife throw loop. Throw a knife at a weak enemy, they die, and they obtain your knife back. This will be important later. Equipped any jump you want, but equipped Knife Trick. You will throw a fan of 3 knives that will scorch your enemy. Equipped healing grenades if you want to have more restoration options available. Just know that you'll be gaining your grenade energy fast, so you can even switch it out for something like the fusion grenade for buff your enemies to ignite like champions, or incendiary grenade for area damage. Your gameplay loop will work like this. Use Knife Trick on weak enemies to gain radiance. Use Prometheus Lens to scorch unscorch enemies while being radiant. Using seasonal mod Flint Striker and sustain the damage on your enemies to apply scorch stacks to cause ignitions. Either heal with the healing grenade or continue to use scorch and incendiary grenades for more scorch stacks. Once an enemy is low enough, use a Knife Trick to continue radiance and get knives back. Don't worry too much about needing to reload because the exotic perk on Prometheus Lens is Flame Refraction. Kills with this weapon return a fraction of the ammo used to the magazine from reserves, extending the beam's duration. If you're not getting radiance for barriers, our primary pulse rifle will deal with barrier champions. With another artifact seasonal mod, Unraveling Orbs. Strand weapons upon Orb of Power pickup will help pierce through barriers, and rockets will deal with overloads. Let's keep the seasonal artifact mods for later, and talk about the fragments for the solar side of our build. Start by equipping Ember of Torches. A knife throw will grant you and nearby allies radiance. This ties in with Knock 'em Down. Giving you a radiant would give you a knife chargeback, so you can keep throwing knives as long as you don't miss. Ember of Ashes. You apply more scorch stacks to targets. It's by 50% in most cases, so getting targets to ignite faster is the way to go. Ember of Searing. Killing scorched enemies spawns a fire sprite and grants melee ability energy. Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you grant restoration to you and nearby allies. Picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. This is our gameplay loop. Throw your grenade, scorch your enemy, get them low enough to knife trick, and get your knives back. The enemy will drop a fire sprite that will give grenade energy back and give you restoration. Grenade, throw it, scorch, knife, get knives back, fire sprite to heal, rinse and repeat. And lastly, Ember of Empyrean. Solar kills extend the duration of restoration and radiance effects by 4 seconds up to a maximum of 12 seconds. So after you finish your loop, it will extend your restoration and radiance to throw your knives in again and keep healing. For the exotic weapon, we'll be using Prometheus Lens. We'll be using Prometheus, not only ad clear, spreading scorch, but to sustain damage to beefier enemies for ignitions and unstoppable champion. It has the exotic perk, Prismatic Inferno, fires a solar trace beam that creates a field of heat energy that grows as the weapon is fired. Sustained damage applies scorch to the target, and with flame refractions, we'll be getting ammo from reserves with final blows. With precision hits and rapid final blows, we can proc radiance and stack scorch stacks faster and start ignitions with grenades and knives. For our exotic armor piece, we'll be using Shards of Galanor. Throwing knives final blows decreases the cooldown of your super. Hits and final blows with Blade Barrage will return super energy after the super ends. As long as you can keep throwing your knives while being radiant and killing your enemies will make you gain your knife back and gain super energy. You can keep this and loop it over and over again to gain your super really fast. And even using Blade Barrage will grant you a third of your super energy back. Beyond the exotic weapon, grab the Strand Pulse Rifle from Season of the Deep different times with Subsistence and Hatchling. Get the red borders and you'll be able to craft this weapon with enhanced traits. Subsistence will refill 10%, Enhanced will refill 20% of the magazine from reserves on weapon kills. And Hatchling, upon scoring a precision kill or 3 kills within 3 seconds of each, spawns a threadling on enemy death location, with Enhanced Hatchling increasing handling by 5, which is good for different times since the stat is low. Created with an arrow break, ricochet rounds, masterwork in either handling or stability, and apply a counterbalance stock mod. Now, if you can't or don't want to craft a strand pulse rifle, I would recommend getting Lethal Abundance with Slice and Hatchling from the Iron Banner game mode. We know what Hatchling does, but Slice makes it so that the next 5 hits within 8 seconds of using your class ability apply Sever to hit targets. This is huge since we're running Solar instead of Strand class, and upon defeating a severed enemy we can get a Tangle to throw. A Strand primary is important because of unraveling rounds that we can get from the artifact mods, Unraveling Orbs, but also Horde Shuttle, because when dealing sufficient damage to an unraveled target, it will spawn a threadling. Unraveling an enemy means that they'll take bursts of damage from Strand Unraveling Matter, which also seeks out nearby enemies. These unraveling threads kills will sometimes spawn a threadling. That's why Hatchling is so important to have on the Strand weapon, because not only will we be causing Scorch and Ignitions and being radiant with Prometheus, but we're also making a lot of Hatchlings unraveling enemies with Orbs of Power, and Unravel Thread Matter will seek nearby enemies to make even more threadlings. Both weapons will be crazy for ad clear, best for Onslaught or Nightfalls with champions. For a heavy weapon, I use Ascendancy from the Exotic Archive, Solar Rocket Launcher with Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction for ad clear, or Impulsive Amplifier and Explosive Light for DPS. I would use Apex Predator, but I have nobody to run raids with or even to teach me. This is where you guys come in. I will have a Discord link in the description. Please be one of the first to join our community, where I'll be alerting you guys on when the next video will drop. LFG groups asking you guys directly what types of videos you guys want to see, and Legend Lost Sector locations and Zur locations. I will need an elite team to help me, teach me, and do raids with me for red borders and exotics before final shape, so please consider joining. Now onto the armor mods. For helmet, equipped Harmonic Siphon, so rapid solar weapons gets us Orbs of Power, and Strad Siphon, so rapid strand weapon final blows with different times or Lethal Abundance can create Orbs of Powers to get us unraveling rounds. Then equip Hands-On mod to gain super energy on melee kills. Knives, Shards of Galanor already reduce our super time, so get super energy on melee kills with Hands-On will get us our super even faster. For arms, Heavy-Handed, your powered melee final blows create Orbs of Power. Our knife trick loop will create us lots of orbs for us. Impact Induction, causing damage with a powered melee attack, reduces your grenade cooldown. This is so we can get our grenade back faster to scorch more. For your chest, equip Charged Up to increase the maximum stack of armor charges by 1 and any damage resistance mod. For your legs though, Solar Weapon Surge, so that every orb pickup we can get a 10% damage increase on our Prometheus Lens and rocket launcher. Better already, picking up an Orb of Power immediately starts health regen and stacks on stacks, so picking up an orb will grant us an extra armor charge. Lastly, for Hood, equip Reaper. Shortly after dodging your next weapon kill will drop an Orb of Power. This is great with Gambler's Dodge because if you're already Radiant, dodging will grant you a knife trick and kill an enemy with it. This will grant you an Orb of Power and the Fire Sprite for Restoration. Equipped Powerful Attraction. This will automatically collect nearby orbs of power when dodging. And equip Bomber to reduce your grenade cooldown when using your dodge. I would say focus your stats on Discipline and Resilience. Strength is unnecessary since you can regain your knives through dodges. And I wouldn't put anything in Intellect since we're getting our super back really fast with powered melees and orb creation due to our Harmonic Siphon and Strand Siphon. Moving into the seasonal mods, on the screen are all of them, but to a further extent I'll be explaining each one. For the first column, Barrier Sidearm, even though no sidearm, but you have to choose 3 mods in the first column. Same thing with Unstoppable mod, choose whichever, but depending on whether you use different times or Lethal Abundance, you have to choose the opposite mod for your gun that you're equipping. Because Unraveling Rounds makes your strand weapons give you anti-barrier rounds, but they won't proc if you choose Overload Pulse Rifles if you equip different times. Same thing, if you choose Overload Auto Rifles and equip Lethal Abundance, you won't be able to get anti-barrier ammo rounds. In the second column, Kindling Trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply scorch to unscorched enemies. This is a huge perk to run this season, as this can scorch enemies that don't have the debuff easier than just your grenades. This means every Prometheus kill, while being Radiant, will drop a fire sprite to cause restoration and extend your Radiant. Then equipped From Whence You Came. Increases ability damage by 5% against scorn and taken combatants. The amount of ability damage you'll be dealing against the most frequent enemy type this season helps a lot. In the third column, equipped Flint Striker. Rapid solar weapon precision hits and rapid solar weapon final blows grant Radiant. With Prometheus Lens, exploding nearby enemies, rapid kills are easy to gain, and getting Radiance this season was never been easier. Equipped Origin Perk Specialization 2. Improves the benefits provided by Noble Deeds, Unsated Hunger, Head Rush, and Dragon's Vengeance Origin traits. Additionally, weapons with these traits are always overcharged. We want this mod for different times, which has Unsated Hunger, which will double our trait perks. Unsated Hunger procs when none of your class abilities are charged, meaning your grenade, class ability, and knife aren't charged. Unsated Hunger will proc, giving you a 20-point increase in stability, but with Origin Trait Specialization 2, it will increase to stability plus 40. Instead of a 60-point increase in reload, it's 120 handling and reload speed. Yes, 120. It's insane. Of course, this will proc when none of your abilities are charged, so this insane buff will benefit you if you're in a sticky situation. In the fourth column, Unraveling Orbs. Picking up an Orb of Power grants unraveling rounds for strand weapons for 7 seconds. This is crazy good for any strand weapon or strand build. Literally dodge, get a weapon kill, and you'll receive unraveling rounds. And with that, be able to stun barrier champions. Equipped Revitalizing Blast. Causing damage with the solar ability weakens champions and bosses for a short duration. As it says, any solar ability, so throw a grenade or your knives at a champion or boss to activate this mod. And lastly, Overload Rocket Launchers. Rocket launchers are especially effective against Overload champions, to nuking them faster and getting them out of the way. And in the fifth and last column, Horde Shuttle. Dealing sufficient weapon damage to an unravel target spawns a threadling depending on enemy rank. You have to deal more damage for higher ranks to spawn, but this is really good because we will be killing enemies with a strand pulse rifle or auto rifle, and you'll start to spawn threadlings just shooting down enemies after an orb pickup. For the last mod, equip depending on your situation. I run Rays of Precision, solar precision kills on PvE combatants while Radiant causes an ignition. This can help us spread Scorch Sex to other enemies nearby with enough damage with either a grenade, knife, or sustained damage. With Prometheus Lens, will cause the next ignition very fast. Or, during a DPS phase, Argent Ordnance, firing a rocket launcher consumes 1 second of armor charge to grant the Godslayer Warheads buff for 4.5 seconds. Godslayer Warheads grants 15% increased rocket damage and sex with every buff, and increases reload speed. It does not consume an additional armor charge while the buff is active. This is more of a DPS role, which can be handy for bosses in Onslaught or Nightfalls. Well, you've heard me talk about the mods and the build in depth, and have seen the gameplay of this build in the background of this video. I hope this video was helpful in getting you in a very insane Hunter Solar Strand Fusion build. It would mean a lot if you could subscribe, leave a like, comment on how I can prove this build better, and which subclass I should do next. Again, I want to thank everyone who stayed to watch till the end. I also want to thank you guys for the major support I got in all of my previous videos, and 579 subscribers since the last build video. Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate every single one of you. That will be it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.